Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to how to build a pigeon trap. I am no pro with this by any means, but the system I've got going works pretty well. You guys have seen some success with it if you're familiar with Bobby Guy's channel. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and show you how I build the traps that he's been using, and hopefully we'll be able to put some out here before too long. I'm going to show you guys what you need and then how I do it. The main body of the trap is 1x2 welded wire. I got this at TSC. Pretty much any farm supply place will carry it. Then the other thing I use for the top, this is 1x1/2 inch welded wire. I use these for the tops. That way when hawks and stuff are around, they can't get through it, because they'll come and hawks will land on top and they'll try and grab the pigeons that are in there. Well, the pigeon gets up close enough, it flies up and they'll grab it, and you will lose heads. Whatever they can get through the wire, they'll pull out and eat. And normally they don't get a lot of it, but they definitely will kill them. So that's why I use the smaller wire on top. As far as the tools I'm going to use, this is a hog ringer. They're like 10, 12 bucks. They're pretty cheap though. I use it to connect these hog rings. That's what I use when I want to build these things fast and really crank them out. So these are like 4 bucks a hundred. They're really cheap. Pliers, side cutters, hammer, 2x6, and that's pretty much literally all I use to make these things. Out of a 50-foot roll of 1x2 welded wire and a 25-foot roll of 1x1/2 inch, I can normally make about 3 traps. I like to put the curve towards the top. That way when I make my bends, it's not sort of so round shaped. So I'll lay it out like this. Hope you guys can hear me. And I'll just sort of try and get it to straighten out. So for my sides, I'm going to make them 9 inches tall, 30 inches for the bottom, 9 inches for the side again, and then the small stuff for the top. We'll go ahead and get this bent. The way I bend these is I take my board. You want to make sure you have a good straight board. Count your squares here. So there's 5, 4. Hey, that worked out pretty good. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, and so I want it to bend right at this wire. I want that to be my corner. So I go, and then this is a poor boy break basically. And then you'll go and you'll pull the wire up. Like so. And then that's where the hammer comes in. The reason I do this is I want as much of a square corner. So you can see just by bending like that, it's not square. Take your hammer and you just tap it. And then see? There you go. Makes a square corner. So I'm going to do that along the entire edge, and then once I get that done, I'm going to do that on both sides. I'll count out the middle, do that both sides, and then I'll show you what the next step is. Make it as straight as possible. I want to show you one thing that I do. I cut every other wire. You can use these wires then to connect everything. It takes a lot more time, but it's a lot sturdier than using the hog rings. So here's one that I use to bend all of the wires over, and it makes it just a whole lot stronger. I did use rings here just to connect this side, but it's a lot more rigid trap if you do it that way. But it does take a lot longer to do, because bending every single one of these wires over, every other one of these wires over, it takes some time. It's hard on your fingers. If you want to make a lot sturdier trap and put a little bit more time into it, go ahead and bend them around. You'll get the hang of it. It's not fun, but it works. I've got both the sides bent up, and now it is time to put my top on. So I'm going to grab that. The top doesn't matter so much which way you put the curve. It's just one side. You don't really have to worry about it too much. So whichever way boats your float. So I'm going to try and use the wires to space it out right and get it to kind of stay. So once you get it stuck on here, like I try to space it all out correctly. To make it stay is I'll take these wires I left and I'll bend over a couple just to get the hold, so when I do the other side it doesn't come off. So now I've got it semi-secured, really. It's not really secured at all, but I've got the entire edge here finished off. So now all I got to do is bend these down, or I can use the hog ringer. The hog ringer, you just go, you open it up, you take the ring here, and you stick it in the mouth like that. There's some little grooves in there. I like to catch a couple of corners here. So like this one right here, I will grab two. I'll grab this square and this square, that way it doesn't slide back and forth. You just pinch and it's secured. So it doesn't make it near as rigid, but you're just catching pigeons. So I mean, you're not trying to hold a crazy animal, even though pigeons get kind of crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the whole thing. Okay, so I have cut two end pieces. See, I've got this all, I actually went ahead and just bent everything down. You can use clips, just keep clipping every 4 inches or so. Put a clip just enough to hold it all together. You can do that, it's a whole lot faster. After you've done that, you want to get your wire done. And I actually haven't cut these down. These are 36 wide, so I need to go ahead and cut off part of it. So I gotta do that for both sides. I'm gonna attach those the same way, bend them down, or I might use the hog ringer depending on how motivated I am. And when I said it made 3 traps, I kind of forgot that you needed stuff for the doors and ends, so you actually only get 2. But if you've made as many as I do, you have some extra scrap pieces laying around, and you can get 3 out of it if you have those extra pieces. So I have a bunch of stuff from a few other pigeon traps and a few turtle traps that I made, so I got a bunch of scrap stuff. So if you have extra wire laying around, you can get 3, just you need a little bit more. So you can't get 3. You can't get 3. That's the moral of it. You can't. Stupid white chickens screaming at me. And my camera's about dead. So I'm gonna have to try and do a little bit more work here, put the camera on the charger, and it's getting shush. It's getting close to the end of daylight here, so I'm probably gonna have to try and complete this here another day. Hey guys, it's the next day. Alright, I'm ready to cut the doors into this thing. So what I'm gonna do, on a couple other traps I went and off-centered it. I think on this one I'm going to put it right dead center. I'm going to make it, it's going to be 7 tall, 6 wide, and I'm going to cut on these sides, the top, the bottom, and one side, that way I can push it down and over. And I'll show you why here in a little bit. When you cut the door into the side here, make sure that you remember that you're cutting just for 3. So you're going to cut 2 wires to get 6 inches if you're cutting on this side here. So I just want to cut this one, and this one. So I'm going to leave this side attached here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the 7 inches up on this side. Got that there, so I'm going to cut that one, and that leaves 1, 2 inches there. So I'm going to cut on the bottom 1, 2, and then I'm just going to push this in and try and bend it right on the edge there. So now this becomes part of my doorway here as a sidewall. Alright, when you make your doors, I've been experimenting around a little bit, and what I think I'm going to do for this trap here is I'm going to make them 8 inches by 14. So what the theory I'm using is make them a little bit shallower. I don't want them quite as long of a funnel as I've had in times past, and hopefully that'll entice the birds to go in a little bit faster. Maybe they won't feel quite as claustrophobic so quickly. That's my theory, so we're going to see how that goes. When you cut this as just the regular 1x2 wire here, you want to leave long prongs all on one end. So cut it up right up against the wire and leave them all long. That is what keeps the birds from coming back out. So when they come up, they'll get poked by these. You want to make sure that you leave those there. I'm going to use a 2x4 here and get it centered over my 4. So I got 5 on each side. But since my entrance is 6, I'm going to offset it an inch. Alright, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, and then on up here at this side, I only have 4. But you're not worried about making the hard corners like we did on the cage. the body part of it. Just bend it up, and we'll do this side. And again, just bend it. And you want it to have sort of a funnel shape, so it doesn't have to be exactly straight up and down. All right, now take your funnel here, and I'm going to try and do this one-handed anyway. You want to stick it into the hole you've made. And what I'm going to do is I can use the hog ringer now, and I'm going to secure my corners up here on the top. And 2. Okay, so now that I've got that secured, what I want to do is I want to get that angle down. So I'm going to take this wire down here. I'm going to bend it up. Same on this side. So now it's attached to the floor and to up here. So now it's actually fairly rigid already. One thing you want to do is use some of your scrap wire though and block off the sides. That's why we left it on this side. It's already blocked off. This side we'll have to make a little patch for it. You see that there's some wire sticking up here. We're just going to take those and we're going to just bend them out. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to cut them off a little bit short, just enough so I have enough to bend around the entryway here. Okay, I got it finally done here. So I got a little patch here put in, that way they can't escape or hurt themselves there. Got it all secured. It's pretty rigid. This isn't really attached to anything. I'll probably bend one of these wires that I got here on the side, bend that to fasten a little bit better. It doesn't matter. But what you're really looking for is this funnel here. You want it about 4 inches high and about 4 inches wide at the end here. But the point of it is you want to make this just big enough for a pigeon to squeeze through. I'm going to show you how to put the door on real quick. After you've cut your hole out, save this piece though. Do not throw that away. You want to hog ring this to the door, the part that you're going to put on here, a piece of the 1x2, and you want to make it so it overlaps a little bit. So I've got about a 1/2 inch here and about a 1/2 inch there. Normally I'd like a little bit more than that, but this piece of scrap I think will work pretty good for this here. For a hinge is where these hog rings come in really handy because they make a nice loose circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and this is about a 1/2 inch there, so I'm going to grab that corner and this corner, and I'm just going to pinch it. And now it's pretty loose, but it still works. Same thing there. And then I'm going to put one here in the center. And it should open and close. You'll just use a wire then to fasten this side here. When you secure it, you can use string or zip tie if you want to cut one off every time. Now we want to take this and we want to hog ring it over the doorway there. That way you still have the protection from the hawks. You can just bend the wires down and around it. It will make it a whole lot nicer and smoother, but this is way faster. So I'm just going to go ahead, try and get this thing on here. I'm going to finish putting in these corners, one there, but then you see it's just attached. Hawks can't get into it, birds don't hurt themselves, and that's pretty much a finished trap. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tune it up a little bit. So this entrance is plenty big right now, as it is when you just put it in. It's too big, pigeons will actually come back out of it. So what you want to do is you want to bend these in to narrow up the entryway. Get them down a little bit. So you want to do that all the way around. Alright, that has shrunk it up quite a bit. So you want a pigeon just to be able to squeeze through there without being able to come back very well. So I've kind of guessed about what size it is, but this is where, oh look at that, I happen to have a pigeon. He's not really impressed with me right now. This is one of the pigeons that Bob brought over. This is just a regular feral bird, just like we're trying to catch there. And so what I do is I just set him down the doorway. Looks like it's a little bit tight. Alright, so we're going to loosen it up a little bit. And you just got to work it and tune the trap out a little bit and figure out exactly what the right size is. So buddy, we're going to run through again. Try that. Well, that worked pretty slick. What do you think, bud? Can you get back out of it? Hope not. We're going to tweak it just a little bit more. Alright, one more time. And now hopefully... Yep, there you go. So that's how that all works. That's how the gateway does. If you end up having birds get in and getting away, or if you have a bait bird in there that starts to get away, tighten them up a little bit. That's all you got to do is you just got to tweak the trap a little bit till it works the way you want it to. You want to be able to get in comfortably and easily, but not back out. I really prefer having a door on both sides. A one door will work just fine. I just like to have more options. that's how I build my pigeon traps. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it's helped you out. I hope you guys catch a ton of birds. Hit me up on my Instagram if you have any questions or you need any help or something like that. I'll just put it down here. That right there. Yep. Hit me up. I try and answer all my DMs. Starting to get a few more than what I can get to promptly, and some of them get lost, but I will try. If you guys like the video though, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time.